Actually, it's my belly's kind of blocking you. It's great.
That on?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. This is the afternoon session of a two-session day. It is December 13th at 1:35 p.m. Roll call, please.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Jim Atchison.
Present.
Jim Razor.
All right, gentlemen, when we left off, I think you guys had a question about the telephone switches that you had sent us.
Yeah, well, they're not phone switches. They're
Okay.
just network switches in general, intended to replace the switches that we currently have, providing network throughout the building. The primary catalyst when the phone project first came up, the switches that are currently in service don't have PLC power or Ethernet. If we don't go through with the switch replacement, you'll have to have power supplies for your phones. Not a big deal, but it's a good opportunity to go ahead and upgrade some aging equipment, get it, on some new. So it's more than just a quote for the switches for the phones. It's more of a network upgrade that will also benefit the phone product.
Does that make sense? You guys got questions about that? Quite honestly, I don't know much about IT.
I would ask, do you know off the top of your head how old the hardware is you're talking about replacing?
I believe 6 to 7 years. It depends on the switches, but the ones in the main closet are about 6 to 7.
We replaced a few switches just a couple of years ago, the core switches. We did an upgrade a few years back. I don't remember if one failed, but it was in need of similar age out upgrade. So we did that to switch out the core switches to provide the fiber link between the two buildings. And this is just kind of the next step in that upgrade process.
And none of the switches we have now are BOE.
I don't believe so.
Some of them are. We have unified switches at the top of your network. It's just not all of those switches were replaced when we did that. So most of the ones providing connection for your departments do not have PoE. So this is to provide coverage for those departments to make that phone install easier.
What's the time frame on getting these switches in?
So long as we don't have issues with stock, we're pretty quick. I believe we even have some in stock in our spiritual office.
Well, I just know that when I was doing switches for my house, it was not a simple click and order there in a day.
Yeah.
It has, what you're saying is the phone system then may have to, if there is problems with getting the switches in, may have to have temporary POEs in addition to waiting for these to come in order to deploy non-POE. I mean, it is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, regardless of whether they end up being used for the phones or not, they are needed. But the POE is a big plus.
Oh no, I don't know why you would ever put in anything other than a POE at this point in time. Everything seems to be operating on them. I'm just trying to figure out from a phone implementation system standpoint.
And it's trying times. I'm sure these guys can test it too. It's hard to get stuff these days.
That's the issue, is it could massively delay. We have to wait for switches. It's going to massively delay your urgency that was expressed to us for getting a couple of departments going.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
No, that's.
So, I mean, I don't, whatever with the switches, whatever's going in place, it was just, like I said, expressed to us that we've got 2 departments and we've got to get moved on and get in quick. We can still deploy regardless of the switches that are here or the new ones. It's just that, give you an example, I've got several clients that we're just waiting on the switch to be installed, checking every day. Can't get. The big ones, especially the POE ones, you just cannot get.
Yeah, I did 2 switches in order. I did 2 8s, one that has 4 and 4, and the other one that has 4 and 4 because I couldn't get one that had all.
I mean, unless we want to go on
That's
Amazon,
for
for
house.
instance, and pay a scalper twice what they're worth. I mean, so it's difficult to get a hold of it. Like I said, we can go forward without it. It's just that at some point, then the whole network has to go down. My thought process here is that when we start talking about the phones, is that, yeah, we can get the power supplies for the phones. So the PoE switches don't really matter, okay? However, now we're talking about spending an extra $3,000-4,000, for instance, on all these power supplies. When if we had the PoE switches in place, we wouldn't need the power supplies.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we just go ahead and move forward with deployment, great. But now we're just spending money while we wait for the switches. It's
Right.
personally me, I would have, and I'm being no offense, CDS, but I would have liked to know that that was all done ahead of time and ready to rock and roll, knowing that this was coming down the pipeline. So that's, just because it takes.
Ports are we talking about?
Sorry?
How many active ports? You had all the switches, how many active ports?
The new switches or the ones? that-
Just in general, what's on site right now between
It'd be like 60 to 80, around there.
680?
60 to 80.
Oh,
But this, weren't these switches 24 port and there was 10 of them?
Oh, was it 10?
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking about just for the main building. So 2 of those are going to be as cold spares, just in case another one goes down, so we have some ready to replace. Because there was an outage like a month or 2 ago that was due to a switch. So one of these to have a spare for that. 8 of them will actually be replacements, 4 here, and then the others over at the courthouse. So for this building, it would be about 60 to 80 ports for those 4 switches. And actually, I guess one up on the 3rd floor as well. So that'd be a total of 80 to 100, and then about 60 over in the house.
These switches, we did quote 48 port switches, so we got plenty of overhead for expansion.
Do you have the switches in stock?
I have to check. I don't know for sure off the top of my head. I know at the time that we put the quote together, we had availability. But yeah, we're going back a little ways here. So. If you'd like, I can set up a phone call and see what the timeline would be.
What do you think, guys? I mean,
Couple minutes.
find out if they're actually available. I don't see it, yeah, it wouldn't hurt us to know.
Give us a minute. I'll get some confirmation.
About a week ago, I believe.
The inventory changes so fast. It's
It does, yeah.
That's why we check every day, because it's, it could pop up for an hour, they've got some, you grab what you can. We used to actually, we always carried a very small amount of stock, okay? But now we're ending up carrying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 worth of stock, because some of them, we just don't know when we're gonna get it again.
Yeah.
And, for a few other counties, we're waiting on switches, just waiting, there's nothing we can do, so.
But worst case scenario, plug the phones into power on the wall.
We're just spending a little bit of extra money on power supplies for the phones, but we can go forward either way. My issue, the reason why I wanted to know more about the network in the beginning of this is that I frankly wanted to make sure there's enough bandwidth throughout the whole network to be able to handle the VoIP. Now, I know VoIP doesn't take much bandwidth on the network, but if we're talking, if everything in this entire building is on 1 gig, okay, well, we should be having a 10 gig backbone, not a 1 gig backbone, because yeah, we can separate the voice traffic and the data traffic, but how much sucking are we going to do from one straw here? Either we're going to slow somebody else down, for VoIP. I mean, it's just, I would have liked to have seen, full blown 10 gig backbone where you rock and roll. So here we are, right before getting into this, you don't have it. So it's just doesn't put anything in question of will the network take it. That's not what I mean. It's just I hope we don't run into issues or slow other people down and stuff like that, or delay the whole VoIP project in the first place. That's all my hopes are. So.
We do have a line on some in-stock switches, so should be 1 to 2 weeks, get them delivered and installed. If we were to get approval quickly, we'll place the order the same day, which, gets us in ahead of the line. If it takes a few days, which I understand, it may, we have some loaner switches that we deploy in the interim that will do the job until we get the final solution.
Okay, would you want to take that under advisement then? Yeah. We need to sit back to, yeah, look at it, Brad. Is there anything else we needed to do there?
No, I mean, it's up for you guys to consider.
Yeah, stuff for us to consider. Okay, right at this time, do we need to go on to executive session?
Yeah, I think based upon what we had talked about, pursuant to 5 ILCS 120-2, section 2(8), specifically in relation to security procedures, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to actual threat and reasonably potential danger or safety to employees, students, staff, public, and public property.
Okay, so that's the statute. We have a motion for the executive session.
That's like.
Roll call?
Jim Moreland.
Yeah.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
We'll take a few minutes before we go into executive session. Guys, we're going to be there for a while. So can we get back to you on this?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. That's fine. We'll take a 5 minute recess.
Let me give you guys my business card.
Absolutely.
You could end stream and come back.
So that's why I was saying I could mute it and then put something.
Can you shut camera off?
You guys need us to hang
I can
around
put
for any
some-
questions?
Yeah, we're going to be a while, guys.
And
If we
then
have
just The mic's working on.
My-
We're back in closed session. What do I need to do here? Call roll call? Oh, date, right? It's 2:55. My class is not working on December 13th. And roll call, please.
Ken Nicholson,
Here.
Jim Razor,
Present.
Jim Marlin,
Present.
Okay. Do we want to try to set up a meeting?
Well, we've got some conversation that we need to have
Oh, that's right. You had
in
some
regards
comments.
to the phones so that Mayor Networks can continue in acquiring the necessary items. I think he had some questions for the board as follow-up on what you were looking for.
And give you guys a little bit of homework, help us out. Okay? First thing first, we need a spreadsheet of all users, extensions, and their email address. So first name, last name. I'm sure most places already have like an extension list or something like that. I mean, you guys can pass out on the page or something. But I basically need that, just with everybody's email address on, because with 3CX, email things like voicemail and stuff like that. So I need all of that kind of stuff. So just a spreadsheet of everybody's name, first name, last name, their extension number, and their email address. If certain departments have an extension number as well, or maybe a dedicated phone number to them or something, I kind of need that to ensure you guys have got some. It's kind of
Good copy of what we got.
Cover everybody.
No, but it's a good start.
I think Pam actually was in my office, was just updating that.
Oh,
I'll have her check and talk to Julie, because Julie probably has emails.
The one I got in place was.
So we will need it for all departments.
first and last email extension.
Yep.
That's
Whatever, and if there's any phone numbers for specific departments, especially with the sheriffs and the city clerks. So that's because they're gonna be our primary focus first. So, so just, that's really. The next thing I have on the list that we needed to discuss was the three options. You had the one option of doing on-premise system where you buy everything, or there was a hosted system where you buy the phones, or there was a third option, which is a hosted system where you supply all of the phones. I need you guys to pick an option.
Comments on that, guys?
I think the hosted is the direction, what I understood, because that gets it outside of this building, it's getting more attention on that hardware. And the third option, I don't think we wanted the money thing that was involved.
So when we're looking, you would say buy the phones themselves,
I think so.
and then. So, you
I have
all right,
to
Jim?
agree. Yeah, that's the direction I originally wanted to go with.
Okay,
So.
so there's your answer there, James. Okay.
What I will do at this point is I'll send you guys a, pretty close to final agreement. We're gonna talk about some more stuff. I'll send you one invoice for the equipment we're gonna talk about here in just a couple minutes. I need you guys to pick phones. Email this stuff to you guys. I need you to make a decision quick so we can, go forward. We get the number of phones, and then I emailed you all these spreadsheets, or these data sheets of the different phones. I want you to explain each one. Each one of these is very different. And obviously, starting from that end all the way down to this end, they get more expensive.
I think they're all different.
They are all different.
You,
Yep,
6
4,
years.
5, 6.
X210.
So this is the base phone that most customers run with. Okay? It does have the availability for Bluetooth, but you have to buy a dongle for it. It can go wireless, but you have to buy the dongle for it. The thing is it will only take one dongle. So if you want Bluetooth or wireless. Okay? We get up into the X5U. This phone has Bluetooth built in and allows them for you to get a wireless dongle if you want to make it. So this is the first upgrade where Bluetooth is included. And this one here, Bluetooth is included as well, and it has more BLF buttons on it. Right? So it's got more buttons. Now, when you go up then even bigger, receptionist. It's got Bluetooth built in, but it has a ton of buttons, and it can scroll through more and more of these buttons. All of these can scroll through more and more buttons. The thing with the buttons, I wouldn't get hung up on the buttons. The reason being is because every computer is going to have a soft phone on it that directly integrates with the phone that's on the desk. So if you want to, dial by name, you click it with your mouse, and the phone's going to automatically dial that person. So the amount of buttons we have really doesn't matter. Remember back in the day?
And every option has that,
Yes,
right?
yes. So you remember back in the day, you had these big side carts with tons of buttons, right, for reception? That's just a total thing in the past. So we don't have to worry about that. So personally, I think the best one for the buck is going to be this one, because I don't think you need any buttons. It's got Bluetooth built in for any headsets and things like that. If we need them to be wireless, we can add the dongle for it. It's like $18 for the dongle, or $20 for the dongle. The goal right now is to kind of select how
Is that a
many.
one-time charge?
Yes.
What's price difference for the,
First two.
So I was getting these at 109, so these aren't far behind. Of course, with the bulk, that's where I get the pricing much cheaper. So today it's all about pick the phones that we want, let me call up the vendor, get all of the pricing for everything, anything you choose, then come back to you and say, here's what it is. Because I will assume we're spending $115 on a phone. And then maybe another $5 for the battery backup or the power supply for the phones is, we probably don't. So I'm assuming around 115 is what it is. So, but again, I call up the vendor, I'm gonna get the whole quote of everything. It's gonna be good because we have a lot of fun.
you thought we were PoE.
That's just the core, so that's feeding out to other switches and departments
So,
or other closets.
the next, how many conference room phones did you say you actually had?
I have the need for 4 conference room phones overall.
Four conference rooms. There's 2 different styles. I don't know off the bat how much these are gonna be because I was gonna call a vendor and lump them in with the bigger purchase. So I don't know what the pricing would be on these, but I can tell you that this one would be cheaper than this.
Okay, just as we go along, with some questions, but like we just purchased some a couple of years ago. Will they not work? So even the ones on the EMA, they won't work either.
I think it will.
Which phone is it?
It's got the big power adapter
It's
to
like
it.
what we had in ours, it's right around the
It's
corner.
this power adapter right here.
To your right, Jay.
It's to the right
Right.
corner.
I think you can modify it. It's
this-
like the one that we had in our conference room, but you had to find a part for it or something.
Correct.
Here's the power
It's
adapter
on the-
right here.
This is on the end of life list.
I get it's on the end of life list.
Let's put it this way, if we purchase what's called an ATA device for it, we could probably use it, but it won't get any advanced features.
Understood. I'm just saying.
It would be able to make a phone call, but it couldn't join a meeting, it won't be able to do everything that these do because those are working with 3CX. This would be
All right,
something.
if we're gonna do it right.
We're gonna do it- let's do it right.
Let's do it right.
Your opinion, you've worked in an office that maybe used a little more. To me, the Bluetooth option is worth it. We're talking about $6 to $10.
I utilize it on a daily, I use it when I'm in my office. As far as it, now they've gotten better with the Bluetooth, that you can actually pair 2 different phones with the same Bluetooth headset. So I've got one that pairs my cell phone as well as my office phone and can answer either call off the same headset. So it's helpful.
Your opinion, and I understand it's just an opinion, 50% of county employees that would utilize it?
I would say probably less than that because
That's what I thought.
I'm not sure many people are sitting at their desk a ton.
But this isn't a phone for just today,
I understand.
right? So this could be.
I would say 2 to 3 out of each office would have the potential to use it because they're taking that much phone call. Maybe the circuit clerk's office would have a little bit more usage because they've got different people answering the call for different divisions. But keep in mind, the state's attorney's office, I don't think takes a ton of phone calls in. It's more of the attorneys making the calls out to be able to have the hands free, to be able to type or write while they're on the phone. That to me is the advantage I have on the hands-free element of being able to utilize use my hands instead of holding the phone.
These 2 phones are identical, the conference ones, except for the one that's got a higher model on it, has got more microphones. So if you have more people in the room, or if it's a bigger room, the more expensive one's gonna have something more.
Okay, we use them here, and I know they've got some up there,
In
the
the
conference room.
Mhm.
I don't know about how many.
There's one, I think I saw in the sheriff's office.
At least one there.
We counted the ones that were around when we walked through. We did not count, I'm sorry, we counted this one. That wasn't operational, so that's on the list.
So how many total we have? 4? So we have 4.
So they both had 20-foot, 6-meter, 360-degree moisture cut.
Now keep in mind, I can of course slice and
You
dice
covered
this
the
anyway,
one
let
upstairs?
you guys just see the pricing of every
So we need
single
to trim
one,
upstairs.
then you come up with your totals. And this one for you guys, things we can discuss.
I think we're gonna narrow it down here.
For this, or this budget, and then 2 for sheriff.
It's just, this is.
So common for all the
No, I don't think so, but I would like 2 headsets.
Nothing over in the state's attorney or judge's office.
Okay.
Okay. And we walked. through.
Well, I was, if they have the capability of having it on there, because me and Jessica, it's hard to run election especially. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's a
So
receptionist type thing.
Regarding headsets, we can help you guys with it. The Bluetooth is the same.
Okay.
So realistically, it might be better if you're going to get Bluetooth headsets, to let somebody pick out what they want, that's gonna be comfortable for them.
Okay.
Because if you buy 50 of them and you're uncomfortable,
So Bluetooth would work with it. is what you're saying.
yeah, it's all just Bluetooth stick.
Okay.
No matter what Bluetooth.
Yeah, if it's Bluetooth, it's Bluetooth. It's
So the advantage of the Bluetooth, I'll just tell you, is a lot of people during the Zoom element, Zoom era, went to the ear pods or the AirPods. They're Bluetooth, so they would also technically work with any of the phone. If somebody was comfortable with that, they could utilize the same.
Okay,
for their-
yeah, that's good.
So I would suggest, like, I think the best thing to do would be for each department head to have a conversation with the people in their department and say, do you want some Bluetooth headsets or something like that, for using the phone a lot? Count out how many people that is, and then we would just simply, that's what we do, is probably just start looking online and find the best price, or maybe somebody knows the one they already like. I think can easily be just done on a per department individual basis, any Bluetooth.
Or they could bring their own in at that
And
point.
they can bring their own.
So I have one that I
You could-
like that just.
Right, you could do the option for it, but then have the employee responsible for bringing their own in,
Right,
so that it's not a set of AirPods that you're having to keep track of from a
right.
property acquisition.
And
Yeah, I
then,
just like the being able to do it.
Right, it's just,
I think we should run with yes, the 5, so that's fine. So that way, everything's just Bluetooth ready. And if we run into a situation where we need it to be wireless at a later date, even, we can just get the dongle and plug it in.
Can this campus run with just that phone?
I would say for the most part. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
I would, frankly, I would prefer that everything were the same as much as possible. Like I said, the X210 is this big one, so there's just no point for it. You'll see how the phone system works. You'll have a 3.6 app on your computer. If you want to talk to Jim, you'll just click Jim's name, the phone will start ringing, and you pick it up. You don't need to remember anybody's extensions anymore. You don't need to have all the DMF buttons anymore. It's just click there.
I don't think we need a mixture here.
no, I think one,
I think that phone in your own
that one right there,
cover this, and if we see a use in the future where we've got some of this absolutely needs other features, we need that cost.
I agree.
I really don't think
that's the
you,
one?
I think, okay.
I don't think you're going to need anything other than
That's
that.
the big one.
So I'll send, when we get back to the office, I'll send an email to the vendor. You only got a little bit of a discrepancy. I believe the RFP said 235 phones. What have we come to so far as our current?
220 desktop phones.
Right, so I mean, we've got a small discrepancy there, but again, we weren't exactly showing every room from what I understand. so
Well,
there's probably
we
something-
figured give or take.
Okay,
That was
that's-
give or take. I think 235 is worst case.
But is that covering elevators?
no.
Is that-
those in a minute.
Is that covering highway department?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
What about animal control?
Employee.
So that's what I'm saying.
That was in that, because we called animal control.
No, that's what,
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying. So the numbers may be off some because you've not captured what we envisioned was all of the,
Frankly, I wouldn't mind sticking with just 235, even if we have 5 to 10 spares.
I was gonna say,
And
we should
more.
have a few spares.
Yes, just because even if we have a 1% dead on arrival rate, we've already got the replacements in case it happens. So if we just keep it 235, that's what we want to do. Conference room phones, any real preference? Or do you want me to
What's
get
the
your
price
pricing?
difference?
I'll get you pricing on both. We know we need, what'd you say, 5 of them? Four of them. I'll get you pricing on both and let you decide at that point. I just want to get those in with the bigger bulk, so that way I know I'm getting a discount on all of them.
One that we need more microphones.
I
I don't get.
You know, when we did have that one set up, it has a cord there, microphone down there and a microphone.
Yeah, so there used to be a phone, and frankly, it was awesome, because it was, looked just like that, only the wings on it actually came off.
Came
It was
off.
wireless mics where you could put them everywhere. That phone has since been discontinued. It's still compatible with 3CX, so the question is if I can find it, fantastic. We have one of those types of phone over at Carterville, and they've got that big, what are they, like it's their entertainment hall or whatever the case may be. And you can hear somebody clear 30 feet away
Community center.
because of these mics. So let me do a little bit more digging on that, see if I can get it, even though it's technically discontinued. Let me see if somebody's still selling it, because that's a much nicer.
Talking 4 on there, so let's just, that'll be a quick decision.
Yeah,
Now, I do have one question though. When we get these phones and everything, our old phones that we have right now, they no longer work. Okay.
If you want, we can help somebody in here to like list them on eBay, because you never know, there may be some other counties in desperate need of those phones,
We'll have to declare them as surplus property first.
something like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm willing to bet you there's somebody that's like, we're not getting rid of this phone system and we need 100 more.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess we need to inventory them, make sure that we're all as asset.
I don't think they're a fixed asset. I mean, the phones didn't cost that much. I don't think they're a fixed asset
Gotta be at least $500.
a piece.
right.
So, I don't think that they, and then they'd be in each department. I'm not seeing the phone
Okay.
on that. I'll double check, but I don't think
Just
so.
in case.
The system itself maybe, so like the phone server.
Software or anything like that that we might need or anything that's $500 and above.
the whole phone system eventually, we can rip it off the wall and do whatever we want to do with it. It just won't be necessary. Okay, so I will get those, the moment I get back, I'll email the vendor about that, hopefully within 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Should I email the 3 of you guys, or would you like me to email just directly and him send it to you?
We should do all 3 of us.
You can do it, well, and include Brett on that too.
Tim could be the contact point. But,
Right. Yeah, I want these guys to have the exact same information I've got.
Just do not hit reply all, please.
Don't hit reply all.
Can I hit reply all?
You can't be arrested, so.
I hear you. Okay. Next on the list to decide. We supply the pro license on 3CX, okay? There's also an enterprise license. There's some differences in what the licenses give you, okay? Under the pro license, the main things to compare here, audio and video conferencing for up to 100 people. It's built into 3.6 as far as the pro license goes. We can also only have a single phone system server. That's all the pro license lets us do. When we go into the enterprise license, we can have audio and video conferencing up to 250 people at a time, rather than 100. Don't know if we really need it, but it's there.
That's pretty big.
The biggest kicker that I see is we can actually have a second phone system for failover and redundancy. So in our hosting environment, if something were to go wrong, let's say with this first one, whatever it may be, software corruption, hardware corruption, it doesn't matter. I can immediately fail over the entire county to a totally different phone server, and within seconds, we're back up and running again. All the phones would reestablish connection and we're running. The next beauty of that, of course, is I can take that phone system and I can move it anywhere inside of an environment. So it's nice having that second phone system for the just in case. Now, I'll tell you, none of our clients have the enterprise version. None of them have ever needed it. We've never had a phone system go down, so it might be a total waste of money. But
How much money are we talking?
$361 a month extra for a license. And that was based on 5 years, so.
Honestly, I'd say, yeah, it's a money. That's just me. What these guys want.
I I don't think so.
My personal opinion is I don't think it's gonna be necessary. Because in all reality, I think that, I just, we've had maybe one small outage in the last 4 years. And it wasn't even server related, so I just don't see the need to
Well,
spend
that's
money.
an extra 4,000 a year.
Right, I just don't see. So that's why I'm saying I wouldn't bother. If maybe later on down the road we determine it's necessary, we can always add it then.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Next, faxing discussion. I put in here, and I want you guys to move to completely electronic fax. All of your big printers that you have in right now, they're actually leased through CVS or. So that means you're paying per page print, right? Okay. I would like to take whatever load of the faxing away from that alone, and that would pay for all of the electronic faxing probably lines. That means less paper, less toner, less time wasted at the fax machine, less money getting spent just to even print something in the first place. All of that costs you money, right? So I want to take it away. And I'd like you guys to move completely to Ring Central, all electronic. We can have faxes being sent from an app on everybody's computer. Every department can still have their own, their own fax number, their own contact lists, et cetera, et cetera. You can also fax out through the webpage that Ring Central has. You can also fax out via email. The beauty part about this, for compliance purposes, is that every fax sent or received is date time stamped. So that way you've got a constant audit trail of every fax that was ever received. And they all come in via PDF. You can either get them from the website, or we can set up fax mailboxes off of the Microsoft Exchange server that runs our email. We'll call them public folders. For a department would have like fax, county clerk fax at something, something along those lines at Williamson County. So that way we knew that all of the faxes that went to this mailbox are for the county clerk. And all of them are for the assessor, or for the sheriff. And we can set permissions on that for right inside of Outlook. If you're an assessor, guess what? You can see that folder and you can get your faxes. They all come in with PDF, no printing of anything anymore. Done. If it needs to get forwarded, it's an email. You can forward it to whoever you want to forward it to. It's very simple. Frankly, it ends up being cheaper than me even giving you SIP trunking for it. The lines started, I think it's $17.95, and it gives you up to 1,500 faxes a month. You can add more phone numbers to it. We can do pretty much anything under the sun we want to do with it as far as the faxing. You can have multiple phone numbers. We can have departments set up their own accounts, however you want to handle it. I think it should be all one account. Every department gets a phone number in there with their own independent 1,500 faxes apiece. And then we see who starts burning us, and maybe we have to turn it up a little bit. I think their highest package is like $34.95 a month. So, we're not talking very much money. The idea though that we're losing the printing, we're losing the toner, we're losing the page, the print per page. Now somebody can fax right from their desk without even getting up to go to a machine. We're saving time. I know it's going to be a change for users, and we're going to have to deal with technology coming in. But I see no point in taking the current antiquated devices and making sure they work with the voice of our new phone system. Taking an old system and trying to keep it with the new. Why don't we just go to the new? See what I'm saying?
You can fax from your office. Explain, we're going to have to add hardware.
Nope. Software that gets loaded on the computer. So let's say if you're in Microsoft Word, and you go, I got fax system. You go file, print to fax, when Central pops up, your department could have their own contact list of people that you want to send it to. You click it, fax number, bam, it's gone. That's it.
Okay, so what if someone comes to the counter and here's 2 pages, I need to fax this?
You still go to the same machine you normally would, but you scan it into a PDF. And now you could use the software on the computer to still email it out or to fax it out.
We're going to need some flatbed scanners or something.
No, these big, I'm sure these are multifunctional devices you guys have, copiers.
Mine's-
No,
The copiers,
Yeah.
Stephanie
Yeah,
copiers.
so those are scanners built in. So we just make sure that everybody understands how to make a PDF and scan it. And we save it somewhere on the network, and they can grab it from there, go back to the desk, grab it, and they can send it out through the app. So again, we're still utilizing the device. The device is not a waste because we're still scanning with it. We're just not burning paper and money and all this.
Okay, so I'm confused. I thought we were leasing those devices. We wouldn't be.
I would
leasing
assume you
those.
are through CVS.
Our copiers, yeah, because you're in a lease for like a year or so, so.
Right.
If the time comes that those devices need to go by the wayside, if you want certain people to have just desktop USB scanners right on their desks, so we'll get a few of those and say, scan if you got paperwork. The point is to get rid of the paper, which believe me, over time would save a stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
So,
So,
and frankly, it'll more than pay for what I'm, the money I'm asking to spend for this. So, get rid of it. Everything stays electronic.
So I'm gonna ask a stupid question. So let's say everybody but one department wants to go to that, they still want to use a old fax. Can we still do that?
We'd have to keep, wherever that phone number is, we would have to keep it with that provider and let it go. That's what it would boil down to. So if it's a Clearwave number that's coming in the building, it's running that fax line, it would just stay there. Continue to function just like it was always done. So, but I think really it should be an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, I get it, but these guys, these officers are elected, they should do what.
We, in worst case scenario, we could purchase an ATA device to make it VoIP ready to where it can use a SIP trunk. With any SIP trunk faxing, sometimes weird things can happen. We had a client who for some reason, a doctor who could not fax SH. For whatever strange compatibility between two hardware devices, their fax machines or whatever they're using on SIH's side simply would not pick up the call correctly to receive the fax. And you have these weird things that go on when you start trying to get old hardware to do new things. So it's better to leave the old, the new, the new. Because then people just be calling all the time because fax is not working right. It just doesn't save anybody any time. So just my 2 cents on it. So what I'll do is, do you guys like this idea of just going electronic faxing for those who want to do it?
Yeah, I'm,
Absolutely.
So what I'll do is, once you guys give me the list of extensions and things like that, I'll need all their fax numbers. Because we will end up porting those fax numbers up to Ring Central so they can have them. Okay? Just like you guys are going to end up putting all of the county phone numbers to us. Okay? We will walk through the whole process. We will get it all done. Faxing will come after the phone system is completely done. No reason to stop something that's working. We can deal with that after we get the main enchilada changed out. If that sounds fine with you guys. So we'll train everybody. We'll show everybody how to use it. It's very easy. Okay? So, next on the list, I'll have to give you pricing on it, but we have a few other decisions to make. We have in the stairwells, we have phones in the stairwells that are old analog phones. The question is, do you want to replace the phone or do you want to spend $30 on an ATA device so we can make that a VoIP accessible phone? The biggest pain is that if we want to replace the phone with like a wall hanging VoIP phone, somebody's going to have to run a cable through it. And preferably whoever cabled the building in the first place is going to know how to get to it.
Are we
Otherwise, for any
required
other
to have those phones?
Huh?
Are we required, building code, to have those phones?
I don't know.
They don't have them in the courthouse, but in the new facility, yes. they do.
I've never seen anybody use them, but I'm not saying that they wouldn't.
So
Can you
just
take them out?
emergency.
Somebody's gonna need it. But I don't know.
I don't know if
Most
there's,
people have a cell phone.
Probably just emergency phones that are sitting there for the, just.
so our least expensive option would be the TATA.
Yeah. And I think that's all we need to do, frankly, because I would say that, I don't know how they're configured now, like I said, we're getting the configs for the phone systems. I think that if somebody's gonna pick that up, clearly they're in an emergency, so probably should just call straight to the police. So, I just think that's the easiest way to handle that. The elevator will be the same way, we have to get an ATA device for the elevator, because it's got a built-in phone, it's just a speaker and a button, okay? So we might end up having to get a few more of these little $30 ATA devices as time goes on. We may discover something we haven't seen, so again, they're $30 for a device. It's a big deal. So, is there anything else I'm forgetting as far as all of that?
Wall mounts.
Eventually, we counted 5 or 6 wall mounts for phones, so we're just going to include that on the final quote for it. Particularly in the sheriff's office, wasn't it?
They had a couple of sheriffs and a couple of other. Another key point, there was 18 total faxes.
18.
I think we'll probably, before we enter that deployment phase of all the faxing, we need to verify if we really need that many.
Yeah. So,
If we do the electronic, then we could do one in an office, right?
My suggestion would be to do one fax number per office, and that office would then have access to the mailbox and only be a part of the web page.
Because I know we have two, but we're kind of split up in three offices, but we only need one of them.
Because we could take both of those numbers and actually assign them to the same account in case somebody was using both of them.
I guess if we, could we not just get in one?
We can, but unless somebody is, for whatever reason, still has some, the second number and is sending in to us. If we have that, I think it's like $5 a month to have that number, just as the fail-safe in case somebody's still using it. But at the same time, we could drop it off and if somebody gets a dead signal, business are dead.
Pick up the phone and call.
Not a big deal. Okay, last but not least, timeline. So you guys run some idea of timeline. My goal at this point right now, as I've said, we've got, just to reiterate, we've got the phone system actually already up and running. There's no config on it because we don't know what to do yet. Brian Goschuk, our lead web guy, has been on the phone with Frontier and CBS. I see finally, as of half an hour ago, Josh did finally responded. I didn't read the email, but I see the response of getting us remote access to the phone systems configs. We already have all the credentials we need for the old Mitel phone system, so we'll be able to get in there remotely, download the entire config, and start configuring the phone system to duplicate what you've got. I would expect that process to take no more than a week. Okay? So, of course, we won't have any testing, but that's just, we at least get the configuration in. The faster you guys can give me that Excel spreadsheet with all the extensions and people, the faster we're going to be able to move. Okay? I hope that by tonight I can email the vendor, get the price quotes, send that to you guys tonight or first thing in the morning. The question comes in on the phones. Typically with us, we ask for clients to pay for hardware before we order, especially something like this. There's a lot of it. I don't anticipate you guys disappearing or going bankrupt, but that's normally what we do. If it's an issue, then I can go ahead and make other plans and I can go ahead and get the equipment.
It's an index.
Okay. When I talked to the vendor before the RFP was done, I was told that they had everything already in stock sitting there. They're a large distributor. So I shouldn't have any problems getting everything within 3-4 days. And at that point, it just comes time to sitting down and configuring 253 phones. Normally, what we do when we have the phones done, we will start to bring them over, okay? And barring that there are no network issues or interruptions, we should be able to at least come over and start placing them down in the offices. Users won't be trained on them yet, but they'll be there. We just need to verify functionality. Users can pick one up and play with it. It will have a dial tone and it will technically work. It's just not going to receive any calls, okay? Once we get closer to where we think where's the light at the end of the tunnel kind of approach with how many phones we've got to do. Or barring little hiccups, being the cable ran, whatever the case may be. We should then start what we call the LOA. That's where we actually ask Clearwave or Frontier, whatever it is, to port the phone numbers to us. This is a scheduled event that happens. Okay? Typically, it's a couple of weeks, 4 weeks out. The goal is for us to get all the users trained. The phones are live on the desks. They're just not receiving calls. So the goal is to get them trained, have all the software installed, get them to understand. I think we need to set up probably 2 or 3 training events, maybe in this room, something with a large projector where we get a lot of people at one time. I think we should be also working closely with the department heads, giving them a little bit more information so in case somebody has a question, the department head can answer how to do it. Or if the department heads would like to specify the person to be the leader, so to speak, right? So we go through all of the training. At that time, before the LOA reports have actually happened, we go ahead and ask Clearwave to forward the phone numbers. This is how we're going to jump the gun a little bit for the circuit clerk's office and for the sheriff's office. Once we can get those numbers forwarded, they're going to be live. And then we're basically sitting back and waiting for the port to. So the new phones are ringing. They're all trained. They know what to do with them. New phone starts ringing. Old phone stops ringing. User doesn't know the wiser. We've already forwarded, the phone number. It's already doing that. So they're technically on the new system the moment we forward. It's just when we know the port happens, we take the old phones away. If there's any issues, we can always immediately revert back to Clearwave just from a phone call to tell them we worked. So And I think at that point, we hit up every single department and do the same thing. Make sure they're trained, make sure do they have any questions, do they not? Because it's gonna be, then our other option is, we hit everybody at once. Question is, will your users be able to handle such a change happening all at once? We have them trained, we can, the phones technically can be working, but can we do that to this many people all at once? It's kind of a tough question for me to answer. So, in a perfect world, when we go live, everybody's already using the new phone system. We're just forwarding the phone numbers. Or it happens, nobody knows the live. I think typically that's what we would do. With Johnson County, for instance, that's what we did. You recorded all the numbers later, had the forwarding in place. All the phones were live, all the users were trained. We were using it. We just didn't know we had actually. So, I think we get all the phones down, get everybody trained, and maybe one department at a time, but all within the same week, we tell them, okay, we're going to forward your phone number now. So the old phone stops, the new phone starts. We go visit that department, make sure it's working as it's supposed to. So maybe just for this 1 week time period, we have this little strange situation going on where if you try to pick up and let's say call an assessor's office, you're gonna have to use the new phone, not the old phone. But your old phone might actually be ringing because maybe the assessor's already moved. You see what I'm saying? But it's just a week of a little which phone to use and which phone is ringing. You know? It's just a little glitch like that. So, or we can frankly just hit everybody at once. Kind of up to what you guys think your users can handle.
Mass reset.
Mass reset, yes. So I would like to take it a little slower and do it one department at a time. kind of
What do you
approach.
need to know that? That
You
choice.
can give me a couple weeks.
Okay.
I won't need to know that. We might want to have another meeting with all the department heads and just explain.
Well, that's what I'm
it.
thinking, is that we need to have another meeting.
So, the goal is to make sure that we get the training done ahead of time. Once they're trained, well, let's face it, everybody knows how to use a phone, pick it, whatever. It's all the new fun features that they're gonna have. Just want to make sure that they feel comfortable with it before we've done it. That's it. Until I know a ship date on the phones, I can't give you an actual timeline with dates on it. I can give you the step-by-step process, but here we are, we're already jumping the gun on things. Like, we don't even have the signed agreement yet, but we got the phone system already up and running. We're grabbing the things that are out there that we can go ahead and do, knowing that we need to move quickly. So I think once I know the ETA on the phones, then I can give something with dates, see if you guys concur with it.
I think pretty easily, though, you're talking about after January.
I would say if we get, well, considering we have Christmas and New Year's and everything, I'd say there's probably no way we can have.
That's my concern, is that if we build this aggressive timeline, then we're gonna get the holidays, we're gonna have so many people off. An additional vacation or whatever, our training's not going to be as efficient. I don't want to slow things down intentionally, but I think after January 1 time is better.
I would say that even having it deployed by the end of January, I think is still an aggressive timeline,
Okay.
but easily met.
I would agree with that, Jim. On board. Brett, you hear anything wrong with that?
It's your pleasure.
So let's shoot for January sometime.
So real quick, let's define what that is. January 1, are we talking the whole phone system is live? Or that's it? Yeah, end of January. Are we saying at the end of January, the whole phone system will be completely live?
We'll start with that.
Yeah, can you make it live on that day?
Yeah. Probably the porting process will not be done, but the forwarding will be in play. So technically, we will be on the new phone system. We're at the whim of Clearwave. Okay, they could put us out 30 days, 60 days, for whatever we say it's time to port. It's all up to them on when they're going to do it. We just receive the football, we don't throw. So we have to wait for it. But again, we'll have all the phone numbers forwarded. Everything will already be up and running. Users will already be trained by that.
System 100% one. All right,
In all reality, it's not a big jump. It's just a lot of phones to deploy. That's it.
Stephanie, we had those phone numbers from Clearwave. I mean, does that come with every bill? Those numbers that we checked on?
Yeah, the difficulty with that, from my understanding, is you put the request in, the request could happen in a day, the request could happen in 30 days. So you've got to have your new phone system ready to go for the porting to occur, rather than put in the port request and for whatever reason they're slow and they say, okay, here's your phones.
Yeah.
And then there's no phones. So you got to get,
They've got to be up, running, configured, tested, trained way before we ask for that quote to be done. Because Rhett's right, they could say, you can have your numbers in 5 days, or they could take 2 months. Either way.
So I think what we're asking you, James, is as quick as we can get
I'd say by
Okay.
January.
it.
should be
Realistically speaking,
Yeah.
you know,
we've got the numbers to get. He knows the numbers that need to be ported. It's just, he can't make that call until the system's ready.
I would like a most recent copy of the Clearwave bill and a Frontier. Because I think
We don't have Frontier.
not Frontier at all.
It's
Where's the
all
fax?
We've got Frontier
animal.
and Highway, I think.
I always tie into the system.
yeah.
Highways for Tiva.
Cutiva.
Yes.
I knew it was one different.
I just need the bill so I know the numbers and the account numbers. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask whoever is on those accounts, whoever has the authority to call up Futiva, Frontier, Clearwave, whatever, and put Mayor Networks as a company as an authorized of everything to do anything. So that way we can call and put in a port request. We can have you guys sign your release, all this other stuff. That way you guys don't have to call in any little issue that could possibly come up. Frankly, especially dealing with Frontier, because they are a ginormous bear dealing with any of this. So,
I don't know if any of us would put on his contact information.
I have not.
I know we ran into this problem with, I think it was Verizon on cell phone. But, because like officials come, as officials go, and, if you're not on the list, you can't do a thing.
somebody here should be on the list.
Yeah.
So the thing is, whoever's on the list, we're gonna need to get on that list.
Maybe.
Well, that might be something to start working on now if it's gonna take time to get through some tape.
Some updates. And if there is updates, well, 3 of us.
All three of us.
Clearwave's, Clearwave, frankly, is gonna be easy. It's almost like you just call them up, tell them.
It's got a nephew that looks at Clearwave.
They'll be easy. It's the Frontier that's gonna be very big.
I hate him Frontier.
I mean, they're the ones sometimes that we have to wait 90 days for the port to happen. So when it goes to happen, it fails. And that's why we do the forwarding first before we do it. So that way they don't mess with us. But yeah, just get us on there so we can set up the arrangements with them and directly talk with their technical support and all kinds of stuff. If a port goes bad or if we tell them to forward stuff, we have the authorization to do it. Of course, I'll sanction through you guys on schedule and time, of course. It's just, so you guys yourselves don't have to call up and say, let's do this. Let's just take care of it for you. So, otherwise, I think realistically, that's it. So, I've got phone count, we can move forward. Any questions on it?
Anybody have anything for this, guys? I'm excited. This is about time to get this done.
I am too. Like I said, it's not difficult. It's just a lot of, we have a lot of holes. That's all.
Sure.
I would hope that frankly, I would actually have sheriff's office and circuit clerk's office up. Frankly, I could have them up as soon as that's again me.
Would that be the judges as well?
As far as circuit clerk's office goes, to me, that's the entire circuit clerk's and judges. They're one and the same.
Okay, good.
Because that's our experience when we deal with circuit clerk's office. It's all of them. And judges need a little extra handling. So, huh? Yeah, it's all John Murray stuff. We know John Murray very well because he's on the county we work for. So that should be easy for us.
Should be smooth.
John's a good guy. We don't have
Yeah,
any issues.
I'm not going for long.
If you guys have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out through him.
I'll give you a call before the end of the week. I'll give you a call and take that next week.
That's great. Okay. If you guys don't have anything else, I'm gonna go stop by.
It's been a long day, James.
It's been a great day.
Yeah, it's a good day.
We'll push. Hey, again, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you and make things right. So I think at this point, you guys know that I answer my phone regardless of the time. Okay? Feel free to always use.
Appreciate it, Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies, have a great day. Mr. Barkley, see you later.
Okay, we need to talk about a meeting. I think we talked about having one on Friday. I don't think that needs to occur now. But we did have, what do we have from the meeting this morning?
You still have to have one on Friday for Ashley.
For
Close the
Ashley,
accounts out.
to close those accounts out. And then we also have a committee, another committee appointment.
And there was a liquor license.
For what?
The liquor license application.
Liquor license. Okay, so let's do Friday. So let me get me in trouble here.
Do you want to keep it at 9?
I just suggested 9, it doesn't matter to me.
Ashley
Oh,
had
we
an
just-
appointment at 10:30,
We got an appointment at 11.
Let's do it at 9.
then he had to be in.
Right. So let's do it at 9 o'clock. We'll we'll have a real quick meeting then.
Do you need my presence for that one?
We'll see why we would.
What's on that agenda?
The liquor license application, and then your resolution approving the final year and transfers of funds,
Right. And then the E ETSB,
and then the ETSB appointment for somebody.
Jim.
The liquor license was the number 20 license, not the
Correct.
casino.
Right, it's the sawmill gaming.
Okay.
That's applied.
Then that should be.
should be very quick. It should
Were
be
you wanting
very-
the union contracts on that?
No, we'll save those.
Fit right in.
I just want to
Tell you, fit right in.
I'm learning.
ETSB liquor. Ashley.
Do you want to do that other board appointment for Crosswalk if I have her?
Oh,
Yeah, if you
yeah,
can get
Ron
it,
Mitchell.
Right, if
Yeah.
the letters come in with Deborah's signature on it, then yeah, let's do them too. Okay, and then guys, plan on a meeting on probably Tuesday of next week. I'll send out an agenda for that one.
We'll have on there the collective bargaining agreements for both animal control.
You'll have those done?
I believe we should have those done then.
Okay. Stephanie, could you make sure and make a note of that for next Tuesday's meeting?
Was there anything else for
We
that?
may-
Yeah, I'll add something to that.
Okay.
Tuesday, the 20th, we have 11 a.m.
With who? Okay, you may.
Yeah,
Do 9 o'clock on that one then?
yeah, we'll do it early. It won't take long. It shouldn't take long, should it?
No.
Okay. So fine, Tuesday at 9.
That's the 20th.
That would be the 20th.
Sign. What was the other issue that we're putting on? Besides the training. Over there, pay training.
Yeah, the EMA is that's not a board issue for that day. The EMA is having a training for anybody who wants to go online. I think it was online, wasn't it, Joe?
That's their meeting. It's just their quarterly meeting.
Yeah, is it not training then? Okay, so,
It's a quick one. But it was,
yeah,
Okay. But that's not the one that he wanted us to, that presentation.
no,
no,
that's,
that's in January.
that's gonna be in January. And I talked to Brian about that yesterday. He's
Okay.
need at least a full hour.
So then, on the 20th, what is it again? Before
Union contracts.
union contracts. That would be
Right,
animal
and-
control.
Animal control and assessor.
And then we'll more than likely be one more agenda item. I'll put that on.
There may be another as well.
Yeah, 2 more?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, do we have any other business we need to conduct? Jim, you have anything?
I do not.
Jim, you have anything? Well, let's adjourn this thing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Matheson,
Yes.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
Oh, it's been a long day, John. I appreciate it.